I'm trying to figure out what kind of style I want to render this piece in because on one hand, I want to render it and paint it. On the other hand, I want to do line art for it. But the challenge for me is that this piece is so big, it's so grand that I know it's going to take me a while to complete it if I do render it. Uh, I know whether I do, whether I paint it or I do line art and self shade it, it's going to take me a while to complete this drawing. But I want to encourage you to try and draw stuff that you're uncomfortable with, stuff that's outside of your comfort zone, to get better and to improve at a quicker and faster rate. I think we can get better if we are actively pursuing to challenge ourselves with our work and illustrations that we're creating. And so, with this one specifically, this is going to be used for a illustration in the novel I'm writing, and it's going to be for Omari of Starfall. But yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of like struggling with the kind of art style I want to go for. Um, because I could easily do line art and cell shading for this, but I kind of want to challenge myself and move out of my comfort zone to render this and paint it. And so that's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, pieces like this really challenge me to grow and think bigger and attempt stuff that's way outside of my comfort zone. I would say my comfort zone is drawing characters, but I want to be able to draw characters in environments in different types of settings. And so this is just like step one for me. Just drawing more backgrounds with my characters. And backgrounds are difficult for me because of building and detail. Like I really want this piece to feel really occupied and like this place is a place that a lot of people live in. And so I want to make sure I convey that with the final render of the piece. And to do that, I want to put in lots and lots of details and just make sure that this piece just holds up on its own and actually tells the story I'm trying to tell or that I want to tell. And so for me, that just means going into detail. The background is the hardest part of this piece for me to draw. Not necessarily perspective. I understand perspective and how it works, but it's hard for me because of the amount of detail that I want in the piece. And that's the part of me that I want to grow in and challenge myself to get better at is just like the narrative in my artwork. Omari here is the character that I'm drawing on the side. He's the main character, Omari of Starfall. And the character is easy. I can draw the character pretty easy. I just want to really get good at putting that detail and that sense of narrative and story into my artwork. And so, yeah, it's funny. It's been a few days since I've worked on it, and that's because it's so big. Like it's kind of almost intimidating, but I got to get it done. I don't want to just leave this as is because this is a pretty good composition. I like the storytelling in it. And I like the overall vibe of this artwork. So I do want to finish it, and right now I'm going to start working on the character to give myself a break from thinking about the background. I think I could probably add a little bit more elements like back here to fill up these spaces and just details that are closer to the camera here, down here, like maybe like signs or maybe banners and flags and stuff like that. Because we're looking at roofs, it can be boring because there's not too much to put on a rooftop, and so in later uh, in later illustrations, I'll do like street views of this city that Omari of Starfall takes place in. But for now, uh, I'm working on this illustration, and I'll be able to put in more detail when I have like street level views of certain scenes. You can see it here, like in certain buildings. Like I have these like uh, an awning, I think it's called, and balconies and stuff like that. So there's hints of detail, but I can do a lot more, and I want to do a lot more, and so I'll definitely explore that in later illustrations. But this is how a piece starts for me. I just came up with this idea through thumbnail sketching. These are some of my sketches here. Trying to figure out a scene I can create with Omari in his like hometown, basically, and he's very comfortable in this place. He's very familiar with his place. This is my original thumbnail sketch I had uh, before I decided on pursuing this. These are some of the sketches I did. So you can see that vibe here. It's very grand. It's very immersive, like gigantic, like walls and skyscrapers and cities. So I can probably add like even this tower thing back again into the piece. If I go back to my sketch, if I can find it. Oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to add. I was thinking about adding some type of like gigantic flower that's growing into the city. Maybe a character has grown these flowers, gigantic flowers, all throughout the city. So I was thinking of doing that to fill up the space, make it look interesting, and tell even more of a story, add a little bit more narrative depth. Because I think that would be interesting if we see some flowers and overgrown kind of trees and plants all throughout the city that maybe a character has planted, or maybe it's just grown naturally like that. And so that's something that I could use to tell like a secondary story within the main story of this shot of this character relaxing in his hometown. And so I almost forgot about that, but that will definitely fill up the space. And maybe I'll add some type of tower in the background or something. Or I was thinking maybe floating islands or something like that. You get that fantasy vibe. You got to have some floating islands. But yeah, so far so good. I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to take a break from the background because I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to ignore it for as long as possible, let my future self worry about that. But I want to get it done by the end of this week at least, because I don't want to sit on it forever. And so I got to get it done. I got to finish it and move on to the more artwork for this series, for this novel. And basically what I'm doing is creating illustrations for all the, maybe the main plot points of the story that I'm writing. But yeah, I'm going to move all of the character stuff into its own folder. Basically all the foreground stuff, which is the character and his wall he's sitting on top of. And then also, what else? What else? Stop it right there. That's cool. So yeah, I'm gonna move the character into his own folder and start drawing on top of this because yeah, like I said, I want to take a break from the background. I'm gonna move all the background stuff into its own folder. One thing I can do better at when I am drawing, especially because it's digital, is just taking advantage of having layers to work with, and that's gonna help me like separate all the different elements of this drawing. So this is why doing figure drawing is very important, because I didn't need a reference for this pose that I drew of Omari. I just sketched it in my thumbnail sketch. I knew what the pose I needed was for this piece, and I just drew it from my imagination. So I'm going to lighten all these layers, and I'm going to start drawing over Omari because characters are my favorite thing to draw. I'm also going to open up my character design sheet for Omari. It's going to help me. It's going to help me draw everything I need for the character. It's funny, as soon as you complete a drawing, it's like, dang, I can get even better. I want to improve this even more because as soon as I finish this character design sheet and put it together, posted it and stuff, I was like, dang, I could probably make Omari's design better. Just constantly trying to improve, but I just got to settle with this for now because I got to move on to more drawings, more illustrations, and figure all this out. But yes, sir. When I'm drawing a figure like this, I always start with the spine. Helps me figure out the center of the body, where the center of the body is at, and then easily plot out the chest and the pelvis. Chest is up here, pelvis is right here, right? And after that, I'll put in the chest, character, shoulders. He's pretty relaxed, so his shoulders can like drape down a lot more. A lot, and I just want him to look relaxed. And turn this down. Yeah, that's fine. Turn the layer color on so that I can see what I'm drawing a little bit easier. When I'm drawing figures, I'm just thinking of like the basic simple shapes in the figure. I said it in my last video, but you don't need to know the exact anatomy, like the exact muscular structure to draw people. Especially, I guess, well, I guess the more stylized you go, the more you need to understand the body work. But what I'm saying is you don't need to know how every muscle works to draw the human figure properly. Because I'm only just now studying anatomy, like the muscle structure. Uh, yeah, just simple shapes. The legs are just cylinders, the arms are just cylinders. If you can draw a cylinder in perspective, you can draw the human body in any pose you want. A little bit difficult, more difficult when you want to foreshortening of the body and do more dynamic poses. And even I got to practice doing that. I want to draw even more dynamic poses than I have been. Like fisheye poses are really cool when the camera's in a fisheye perspective. That's always really cool. What I've discovered about drawing and just drawing in general, especially like finding my art style, like I prefer to do more looser line work than I do um more solid, firm, what's it called? Line art. Like in manga, you'll see artists that do awesome line art with more clean, finished lines. I kind of like line art that's more unrefined or just a little bit more sketchy, more loose. One of my favorite examples of artists that one of my favorite examples of artists that have more clean line work is Boichi. He was the artist that drew Dr. Stone. His line art and his texturing is awesome. His line work is awesome. I admire his line work. Very cool. And that makes sense though, right? For like comics, you want to have more of a clean, simpler line art style because you got to draw 1,000 pages. So you want it to be more clean, a little bit more simple to create. In the case of Boichi, though, his line work is really intricate, detailed, and that's what I really enjoy about his line work. And I enjoy drawing the lines, but I want to explore more looser line work that supported by color. That's what I'm going to do in this illustration. Probably make this leg a little bit bigger to support the arm. And Omari's a tall character too, so he's like 6'5". He's not one of the tallest characters in the story, but I think my tallest character is like 8 feet tall. That's what I enjoy about reading One Piece. Been reading One Piece over the past year or so, and I made it all the way to the what's it called? I passed the training arc, and they're at Fishman Island, and it's just cool how how many different characters are in the series, different heights, weights, bodies, types. One thing I admire about One Piece. So I want to try and implement that as well in my work. Different characters of different sizes and stuff and abilities. Really cool. But still try and create something that's action packed. We're probably going to see a little bit of his rib cage back here too. Like this. Nice. And this is what I mean about foreshortening right here. What I said earlier. If you can draw a rectangle, you can draw a cylinder. And if you can draw a cylinder, you can draw that cylinder in any perspective that you want. Just by shifting the way you draw it in the space, right? So that's what I did with this arm. It's just a cylinder in perspective coming towards the camera. Same thing with this one. This forearm is be a cylinder. It's going to go somewhere down there like that. The hardest though is the head, because I kind of want him to be looking up. He's more like a sly character. So I want to try and express that in his look. If this is going to be like the first time the reader sees this character, I want him to be like looking confident in his hometown. The ear will be going there somewhere. You'll see a little bit of the chin, or under the chin, I mean. I want to plot out the brow line. These types of angles I got to practice a lot more, because these are very difficult for me. I got to practice doing these a little bit more. All right, cool. I like drawing that muscle on the neck too, especially for more muscular characters. So if I zoom out, that looks pretty good. Nice. Oh yeah, that's another reason why Boichi is one of my favorite manga artists, as well as the way he draws muscles. You can tell he understands how the human body works as far as the musculature, anatomy, and I do not, so I got to study that. I don't really have to though. I don't want to, but I guess that's like where your style comes from too. It's like, what are you interested in drawing? What do you like drawing? What are you interested in drawing? And then how are you going to draw it? You want to draw it more realistically or stylized? Because when I think of a muscular character in different series and stuff like that, artists portray muscular characters somewhat like a lot differently depending on the artist who was drawing it, right? Because when I think of One Piece, for example, versus a drawing in like Dr. Stone, Boichi, those two artists draw muscular characters very differently. The kind of detail that they show is different. One of the first characters that comes to mind in One Piece is Shanks. Like, he doesn't really look that muscular, right? As far as the artist art style, Oda's art style, but he's like one of the most powerful characters in the series. Even Luffy in his base form doesn't really look that muscular or strong, but he turns out to be one of the most powerful characters as well. And then you have Boichi, and he's drawing like the individual abs and muscles and stuff. So it just depends on the kind of story you want to tell, really. I want his head to be tilting more. Yeah, something like that. And I'm going to turn this base or the line art off real quick. I want to get that energy from the thumbnail sketch that I had. Make sure I'm staying on track with it. And I think I am. He looks relaxed. He looks comfortable, yet confident at the same time. So very good, very good. Let's continue. That's the wrong layer. He has his headband on, so a lot of times I just don't even draw the eyebrows because it covers his that area of the face like that. Yeah, don't even need to draw the eyebrows. I don't gotta draw the eyebrows. I usually draw a little bit of the eyebrow, not even half of it. Most of it's gonna be covered by the headband, so it's fine. Nose a little bit smaller. Nostril, and zoom out. Make sure everything's looking good still. And then probably make that ear a little bit smaller. A little too big. Just a little too big. That's also what I want to explore. That's what I was saying earlier. Like different types of people, different kinds of people, different body shapes of people. That also makes your stories interesting. I like reading manga and stories like that. Interesting characters in it, different body types and sizes and weights and stuff. Okay, cool. And then he's probably looking maybe at the camera or yeah, it looks cool if he's looking at the camera, right? Maybe there's some back there he's looking at. Nah, he's looking at the camera for real. Yes, sir. Cool. Cool beans. Got that sly smile, slick smile. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's looking good. Probably lower it a little bit. Yep. Looks good. Human face is my favorite part of the process. Something's looking off. Maybe it's because he doesn't have hair, but I don't think that's the reason. Something just looks off to me right now. And I'll probably be able to see it when I stop drawing and come back. But something about his head just feels kind of off. Maybe it's stiff. Maybe that's why it's a little stiff. And I think it's because the mouth that I drew. It doesn't go around the form of the face. It just like sits on top of it. That makes sense. Let me try and redraw it so that it's like going around his face. So this is his chin on this side, so it's gonna go this way, then up, and then around, and that way. So let me try that. It is not the mouth. Something about the way I drew the head. So I think I just drew the head a little too small. You guys need to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think that's all it was. It is still not looking right to me, but I will figure it out later. Yeah, I can fix it. Not sure what it is right now, but oh, that's why. Yeah, that fixed it basically. I understand why that wasn't working for me. Basically, because I was trying to get that view of him of us seeing under his chin, and because I'm not that comfortable drawing that, I'll draw something like this, right, where we see under his chin. Okay, that's terrible. Not that. I was trying to draw something like this, where we see the underneath part of his chin, like that, something like that. But that just wasn't working for me, and so it's just more of a straight on shot, and we see his whole entire face, not under his chin, basically, which sucks because that was my original idea. But sometimes you just gotta scratch the original idea. So it is what it is. I'm just gonna go with this. I'm more comfortable drawing it this way, so it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, sir. Fine with that. Draw his earring. Triangle earring. When you draw characters, putting in stuff like this will definitely set your characters apart, just like personality wise, story wise. Because not everybody in this story is gonna have these types of earrings, right? So it's just like, where do you get them from? Are they specially made? Are they what do they represent? Stuff like that is stuff you can think about when you're drawing your own characters. But I'm gonna draw his hair real quick. All right. And I haven't finished drawing his feet and stuff, but that's cool. I'm just having fun drawing his body up here. So for his hair, I have a specific number or amount of hair spikes or afro curl afro sponge brush spikes I draw. I wonder what size of a sponge brush you would have to use to get your hair looking like this. Or a twist brush. What's it called? I forgot what it's called. Golly. I haven't used it in forever, but that's what I used to start my dreadlocks was a twist sponge. It's like twist sponge, something like that. But I imagine Omari uses something like that for his hair. I draw specifically 7 of them. One on top, the fourth one is the one with like 2 kind of spikes like that. And I can already tell that this is a little bit big, so I'm gonna have to shrink it down just fine. But 7 of these hair spikes from a sponge brush is perfect. This is definitely way too big, but that's fine. I can shrink it. I don't usually draw it this big. I don't know why I'm tripping. Even that's kind of small. That's basically where I want it though. Something like that, yeah. I don't know why I was drawing it so big. It's not to be that big, man. What's cool about the hairstyle is like it almost looks like it's floating, right? You look up like I don't know. Let me look it up first. Let me look it up first. Black hair sponge brush. Yeah, that's the correct term. But if you look at some of those images, you'll see some black hairstyles with people with that kind of a look to it. But yeah, it just looks like it floats in the air. This is a little bit more exaggerated, but I like it. And my point in all this was saying that Omari has 7 hair spikes like this. They go up and like float in the air. It's afro hair, natural afro look. All right. Yes, sir. That's a lot better. A little bit smaller. And yep, cool. So, like I said, I have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to work on, especially for this illustration. I want to add lots and lots of detail, make this as detailed as possible and story driven as possible. But I'm gonna end this video here. Hope this inspired you to go draw something. And don't worry about your style too much. Just keep trying stuff out. Keep exploring. For me, I've been like doing painting studies and learning how to paint digitally. I actually want to learn how to do oil painting on like a real life canvas and stuff. But I want to take everything I'm learning about painting and add it to this illustration to challenge myself to get better at painting and overall just improve. And so hopefully this inspires you to keep creating, keep drawing. And this forearm is way too small. Way too small. I think the whole arm is actually. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and hanging out. Let's go try some stuff. Also try and challenge yourself as well when you're creating your artwork. When I just first started drawing, I just like stuck to drawing characters and stuff, but just try everything and anything for real. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Yeah, that's way better. You can tell the difference. It's way better. Adds to his like more muscular character. That's awesome. Peace.